Yeah, so we'd say, sounds interesting, and we'd invite you in to meet.
Thanks.
Yes.
That's my
Yes.
Slack back to you.
Yeah, we'd invite you in, and we'd really want to drill down on what your business will be. And you have to identify how you're going to differentiate yourself in the market, what your market will be, what your audience will be, what your costs are to get this off the ground.
Are you saying I need to make a business plan before I start a business?
Yeah.
This sounds suspiciously like work.
It sounds like the 20th century to write a business plan, but everything's on PowerPoint now. But yes, you need a plan of what your business will be.
Okay.
And you need to identify all the steps it'll take to get to that business.
Welcome back to the BlackLetter podcast. We set out to create an entertaining and exciting podcast about law and business, and I think we've done it. BlackLetter, the name, comes from the Gothic typeset that was originally used in the Gutenberg press. Over time, BlackLetter became the only font that English law books were printed in. Everything else was printed in regular type. It made it harder for kind of the common person to understand what the English law books said. BlackLetter came to represent something that was law, that was set in stone, that was the sort of old and a well-settled fundamental principle of law. We're here to demystify BlackLetter law. We're here to demystify things that happen in business and law and where those two meet. And I hope you have fun listening. All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining us on BlackLetter Law, BlackLetter Podcast. Today with me in the studio, I've got Roy Morris, an attorney for more than 42 years, advising closely held non-public businesses about how to start, run, and be successful in business from a legal perspective, and how to sell your business. And then I also have with me Justin Banford, who's been practicing law for 14 years, mergers and acquisitions, corporate law, kind of the stuff Roy does. And so I'm going to kick the show off after that short introduction with a question for both of you guys that I have wondered about, actually, because when I see law firm websites and I see your bios, I see M&A, and I know it stands for mergers and acquisitions. To me, that sounds like Coca-Cola is buying Pepsi, but what does an M&A lawyer do? What does that mean?
Well, thanks for having us, first of all. But yeah. Any kind of transactional work. We do any kind of buying and selling of businesses. Usually it can be very small operations, just rolling up acquisitions, buying smaller companies, to even selling your company and getting ready for sale. And we include some M&A work can include investment from outside investors,
Is part of it that you like saying M&A because it sounds kind of fancy? I mean, if you're like a business lawyer, it sounds but if you're an M&A lawyer,
So Roy and I are not exclusively M&A lawyers, where we don't do exclusively transactions. We're kind of general corporate counsel. We help our clients through all phases of their business, from starting it, from scaling it to exit. And exit is really when the M&A comes in.
Okay.
But we have those capabilities. But some people, there are M&A attorneys that exclusively do transactions. They're hired guns that come in to get a transaction complete.
So you guys are not the hired guns. You're the long-term relationship lawyers. Is that what I'm getting?
Yes.
Okay. So I know, Roy, you are one of the main members. I guess the firm is that you're with, Dunlap Bennett and Ludwig, is a what is it called? A sponsoring member for more than 20 years of Washington, D.C. EO. What is EO?
Entrepreneurs Organization is a global organization of entrepreneurs. You must have started your own business in order to join, and you must be at a certain revenue level.
What's the revenue level?
Well, right now it's at $1 million.
Okay. So is that $1 million in annual revenue to join?
Yes,
okay.
Right, minimum. And you have to be in a certain age cohort. But as the organization gets older, we keep moving.
Oh, interesting.
It used to be YEO, right?
Yeah,
Roy?
It was founded as Young Entrepreneurs Organization. It's a peer-to-peer support group, really. A bunch of entrepreneurs got together, and they were friends, and one of them committed suicide.
Oh, gosh.
And the others asked, well, where did we fail? Because entrepreneurs can't tell all their problems to everyone. They can't talk to their subordinates about it necessarily. They might not want to talk to their spouse or significant other There's a lot of stresses involved in being an entrepreneur, and the organization was actually founded to give entrepreneurs an outlet for their concerns. So the heart of the experience is the forum experience. It's a group of 8 peer-to-peer monthly meetings in a Gestalt environment where you are not allowed to give advice. You are allowed to ask questions. But the theory is that nobody wants to be told what to do. You got to solve your own problems, but you would benefit from having multiple perspectives. So peer-to-peer support is the essence of it, but they have a lot of learning events. The DC chapter is the one that we're active in, and that has about 150 members.
Great. So let's talk about business a little bit. So Justin, you talked about you represent businesses from start to scale to exit.
Yeah.
So can you tell me kind of what is the difference between start, scale, and exit? I mean, I understand start and exit, beginning and end. Scale is necessarily based on where you put it in our conversation in the middle. But what does that look like for a business? And what do you do? What is a lawyer's job in those things?
So Roy and I, and Roy's been my mentor for those 14 years that we discussed earlier, but we help from the very inception of an idea that turns into a business, that turns into hopefully a profitable business.
Okay.
And then, exit is, can be, depending on the context, can be years, if not decades away for some clients. But yeah, we have a great group of clients, a lot that Roy has cultured from entrepreneurs organizations, but it's a great group of really energetic, fun, motivated guys that will email you at 2 a.m. with their new business idea and want to come in the next day and discuss it.
So say I email you with my new business idea at 2 a.m. and I say, hey, Justin, hey, Roy, I copy you, or I BCC you because I don't want to embarrass Justin by copying his mentor directly. So I BCC Roy and I say, Justin, I'm going to start this is a DC area thing, an IT consulting company in government contracting, and my partner is a veteran. And I want to get every contract I can get by using that to the best. And I say this not tongue in cheek. As you know, I'm a veteran myself and have many veteran friends. I was an Army officer, and I'm not going to do this for real, not starting an IT company, but asking you hypothetically, if I wanted to do that, and that's my email to you, I think I can make money. My partner's got a lot of connections at the Army Navy Club. What do I need to do?
Yeah. So we'd say, sounds interesting, and we'd invite you in to meet.
Thanks.
Yes.
That's my Slack back to you.
Yeah. We'd invite you in, and we'd really want to drill down on what your business will be. And you have to identify how you're going to differentiate yourself in the market, what your market will be, what your audience will be, what your costs are to get this off the ground.
Are you saying I need to make a business plan before I start a business?
Yes.
This sounds suspiciously like work.
It sounds like the 20th century to write a business plan, but everything's on PowerPoint now. But yes, you need a plan of what your business will be.
Okay.
And you need to identify all the steps it'll take to get to that business. And, for some companies.
So what about the legal stuff though? I don't need that until I have the plan.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, that's a question.
Right.
Should I get my company started and formed, or should I plan first? I mean, Roy, I don't know.
I think the business horse needs to draw the legal cart.
Okay.
So I'd say
the business horse.
Yeah.
What color is the business horse?
It's whatever color you want it.
Is it a Clydesdale?
It can be.
Okay. I'm just wondering.
That works.
I'm trying to picture my business horse.
Someone.
Does it wear like a little hat, like a fedora? I mean, I feel
it's green.
A business horse.
Mr. Green. You want a green business horse?
I'd say definitely you got to have a business idea. You got to have a plan. You got to have a team. And then we talk about wrapping that in some kind of structure.
Okay.
Because really that's what the lawyer's going to help you do is put some structure around it.
Well, so if I give you guys a hypothetical structure, can you kind of tell me what you would do?
Sure.
Something that's sort of, again, a common, okay, we're an IT consulting company. My partner is a service-disabled veteran, and we're going to hire a whole bunch of, this is our plan. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, but our plan is, because we think it makes us money, a whole bunch of contractors in the technical space. We're experts in full stack development, JavaScript, PHP, all kinds of web development. And we think there's a really good niche in the government space where my hypothetical self, not my real self, used to work for us to pitch into some of the contracts I've worked on in the past.
Right. So
what would we do?
right. So the idea is, now we're going to be a government contracting company. We're going to be service disabled, veteran owned, set aside. So that means
Get more contracts.
we're going to have at least 51% owned by the service disabled veteran guy.
Okay.
49% probably the other guy. So we have dozens and dozens of companies that do this. You'd come in, you say, now that's our business idea. And we'd say, okay, well, what kind of structure would best serve that? If you're going to be a service disabled, veteran owned small business, then you just need to be an LLC, more likely. And so
when would I ever want to be not an LLC? Because I feel like the LLC is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. You see it on television. You see it on the internet, like be an LLC, $55 LLC.
So LLCs are great in that they're flexible. You can craft them to be what you really need.
So they're the gymnasts of the corporate world.
Oh, if you want to trademark that.
I like that. I think that.
So the only companies or founders that I really say skip the LLC route is if they are really going to go after VC or angel financing in Silicon Valley.
Okay.
And they really just want to jump from the get-go into big institutional financing, and they got a tech app. They're going to create the next whatever.
So what should they be? If I'm no longer that guy, I got a tech app and I'm going to Silicon Valley, and my tech app, it's got to be something cool. It controls automated robot vacuum cleaners.
Okay.
Yep. That's what it does. And they talk wirelessly to each other, and multiple automated robot vacuum cleaners clean your house.
They suck up Bitcoins as they're going.
Ooh, and they actually process Bitcoins. There's a server on the vacuum cleaners that processes and mines Bitcoins while it vacuums.
Okay.
This is my app. And don't steal my idea, listeners. Anybody?
So the business plan.
No, you can have it.
What's it going to take to create Bitcoin sucking up robots? It's going to take more than $10, right?
Yeah.
So
we're thinking 50 million.
So 50 million. So if that's what it's going to take to even get a minimum viable product, an MVP out there, you're going to need $50 million of money. That means you're going to have to pitch people that have $50 million to invest in great ideas like that. They're not going to invest in a Virginia LLC. They want to invest in a Delaware C Corp.
Okay, why Delaware? So a couple questions, and maybe you guys can just tell me where I'm asking the wrong questions. If I'm starting my IT consulting company or my dog walking company or my Silicon Valley, I need $50 million company, why wouldn't I be Delaware for all of those?
Well, Delaware's overkill for the dog walking company or the babysitting company. It's extra fees. You're going to have 2 levels of fees. You're going to have Delaware in whatever state you're operating in.
What makes Delaware special then? Why would I ever do Delaware?
Well, so in the Silicon Valley, tech funding route, there's a pre-packaged formula for all of this. It looks really impressive. You produce a lot of documents, but it's really very formulaic. And it's all built off one model set of laws and one model set of documents.
Gotcha.
That's what Delaware helps for startups. If you're a Fortune 500 company, you want Delaware laws that have certain advantages for management.
Okay. Yep.
But really absent those 2 circumstances, even if you expect to get to this, VC funded round in the future, you can always start off as an LLC.
So you can convert later if you're an LLC when you start?
Yeah, we do that for a lot of Series A rounds. We flip them from an LLC.
Well, so what's a Series A round?
It's just a first price round of equity for a startup company.
So the first time they get outside money. So this is
not the first time they get outside money, but usually the first time it's priced. So, so they've actually proven their concept. They proved a revenue model, and now we need to scale it. And we need money usually from marketing and advertising to scale the business. That's usually where you go get money from a VC, and they do an A round of financing.
And that's when you might look at Delaware for some of those other business models. Like if my dog walking company becomes a multi-state, massive 400 employee dog walking company, I might want to be Delaware.
Right. Like
at that point.
Like if you're going to be the sitter city or the platform by which you outsource and arrange dog walking.
Dogville. I think it would be Dogville.
Yeah. Then you'd look, how do I get market out there? Because, customer acquisition is what you'd really be concerned about. Because somebody else is going to have the same idea. And so, if you've got a model that works and you need to put $10 million behind it, then you probably go maybe to an A round of Silicon Valley money.
Okay, so when I'm looking at taking money from other people, Roy, you've seen this for 42 years. What should I be worried about?
Well,
They're going to say no.
Well, that I'm not worried about.
No.
My idea is amazing.
That's actually not what happens. What happens is you approach your friends and family and they say, yes, yes. And they get so excited. And then when it comes time for you to actually get the check from them, I'm thinking of getting divorced. I need to pay my taxes. I need to pay college tuition.
All real things.
Raising money is so much harder than you think it is.
Right.
And friends and family don't want to say no to you, but they say yes, 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 but then they don't write the check.
Okay.
That is the universal experience of mankind.
Okay, so that's not fun.
Nope.
So the fun part, say that I get the check from some of them, enough of them,
Yes.
to make a half-baked start or half-assed start, whatever it is, a partial start to my company, and I get it going, and I'm lucky enough to make my Dogville successful, or Roomba Bitcoin vacuum bot land. I think that's probably a trademark problem, but whatever. My vacuum cleaning Bitcoin miners, they're successful enough. Like I have a prototype, I have some sales. If I take money not from, so first I'm curious, do I want my friends and family as my business partners? Is there a way to avoid that if I take their money? Because that would be, I don't necessarily want to be in business with my aunt, even if she gives me a check, which actually oddly has happened to me personally. And I love my aunt, but point is, if I don't want to be in business with them, is there a way to avoid that through my brilliant lawyers? Can you guys make sure that I can get the money and not give away my right to say how I build my vacuum dog sitting company?
Well, I had one company that raised money, friends and family round, and then they put in a 5-year call right because they expected to be a raging success in 5 years.
Right.
So they had provided in their documents that, look, after 5 years, we will buy you out. Now, It turns out that they were, like most businesses, a gradual success. They refer to themselves not as serial entrepreneurs or tech entrepreneurs or whatever, but stubborn entrepreneurs. And after 25 years, they actually did become an overnight success.
So it's an overnight of 25 years, like a Rip Van Winkle overnight.
Yes.
Yeah, I got you.
Yes.
So I'd say friends and family money can be the best and the worst. I mean, obviously, you're taking on responsibilities for loved ones, friends and family. You'll lose their investment. You're going to feel worse to nobody else in the world than to your own family to losing their money. On the plus side, though, they may be the ones to ask you the least questions. They may be the ones to say yes multiple times if you have multiple raises you need to do. They may be, like Roy's example, willing to walk away once it's a success. So they've endured the risk of equity, and then they let you take away the upside.
That's nice.
Yes,
that would be good.
That's a very friendly friends and family there.
Well, what other funding mechanisms are there then besides, say I have no friends besides you guys, and you're not giving me money, and I have no family, just hypothetically no family. Where would I go for money, or what are my other options? Can I borrow money from a bank to start my business, or get money from some company somewhere to buy some equity?
Startup. Now, bear in mind, we're talking now about startup funding.
Okay. Yeah. Startup funding.
Okay. So banks, no, forget it.
Okay.
Now, if you want to take out a home equity line on your house, yes, of course. And frankly, that is about the best place you can get money. It's the cheapest.
Okay.
Now, let's assume you have $250,000 of equity and you're willing, and your spouse is also willing
to risk it on my Dogville venture.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I would say, that's one of the first places I look to fund a startup business.
Okay.
Let's step back a second. You can talk about, why you're raising money, and if there, if there's thoughts behind trying to, bootstrap as much as you can, lower your costs as much as you can, trying to, your first goal should not be just to go out and raise money.
Okay.
I mean, your goal should be to get to prove your concept, prove your business idea, and to get there, frankly, as cheaply as you can at first. Because whatever money you either put in yourself or you raise is going to be extremely expensive. I mean, in terms of equity, in terms of investment, in terms of risk, it's going to be extremely expensive to you. So if you can manage all those things from the get-go, especially in a startup situation, this kind of lean startup idea,
Right.
it's really what you should be after. And, going back to Roy's business plan idea, to the extent you can really focus on, what your key metrics are going to be or your key drivers of growth or, what's going to make the success and put all your effort behind that, that's really going to be what's going to make, a business successful.
So you're saying focus on making the business work and not getting money. I mean, you need money for the business, but your focus should be the business ultimately instead of the money.
Well, I've had another number of clients that just really get focused on raising money and, and not trying to see what they could do themselves first.
Gotcha.
And, I don't like it when people stumble over and over and over about trying to find money when, look, if you need to, learn how to do, if you need the money, so what are you raising money for, right? If you're going to raise the money for marketing, try to figure out some marketing yourself.
Okay.
Learn how to do SEO, learn how to do some of these things.
That makes sense. I get that. Thank you to our sponsor today, Dunlap Bennett and Ludwig. Dunlap Bennett and Ludwig solves complex business problems with smart solutions, acting as advocates and advisors to their clients with diverse professional backgrounds from MBAs to PhDs to bankers to military officers, real-world experience for real-world problems. Dunlap Bennett and Ludwig, doing better law. To find out more, visit www.dbllawyers.com. So what about the middle part? So we've talked about the start. What about the scaling? So when we're talking about scaling, is that when we're talking about Series A, Series B, outside money? Well, that's what you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah. So obviously the goal of any business is to make profits, right? And so all this, the Series A, all these kind of rounds of financing are really to get you to profitability. And then once you've got to profitability, you can make, a reasoned, informed decision about whether you need to raise more money to put, gas on the fire and really, market more, leverage it up, or just grow organically.
So my Dogville business in this scenario, I am now, hypothetically, I'm in 3 cities. I'm in Arlington and Ashburn, and I'm in Prince William County, Manassas. I've got 3 sites, and I want to go up the East Coast. I want to go into Maryland. I think there's a good market there, and then maybe up into New York, kind of the suburbs there.
Yeah. So if Dogville, if you had done this, bootstrapped it yourself, you had not taken any money, you just learned out. Some clients learn how to cook. You learned how to do all this.
I learned how to cook figure it out myself.
Right. You figured it all out yourself. And now you've got something you can actually take to investors and prove them and should give them metrics, prove the concept. You've shown it all them. Then if you're raising money at that point, it's going to be so much easier.
When do I know when I have that? I mean, I'm making some money now, right? My hypothetical and disclaimer, I don't know if Dogville's a real thing. So if it is, this bears no resemblance to anything real.
So at that point, you've got 3, territories that you're doing well in. You have to figure out what is the cost to go to the marginal territory after that.
Okay.
If it's negligible, then why wouldn't you? If you've got the money, if you've got the cash flow, go to the next one. If it's actually looking like you're going to need, money to set up a new location, then you'll know.
So say I do, and this is the hard part of the conversation. This is where I always mix it up with clients a little bit. I own 100% of Dogville, and I want to do 3 more locations. I'm in 3, but I want to double that because I know, done my market studies, and I know if I go into Montgomery County and 3 locations there, and maybe 1 in DC, in Northwest DC, that I'm going to triple my revenue by doubling the size of my business because I've got economies of scale, I've got a headquarters. My business plan is good. The challenge is I need about $1 million of capital to sign those leases, do the build outs the way I want to do them, and to get the personnel on site to staff up quickly to make it profitable like that. Now, my business is busy, but I don't have $1 million in free cash, and I need to go to raise money. Now, I am the owner, and I don't want to give up control, but my business is probably making me $250,000 a year after I pay everything. It's not making me $1 million, but I don't want to give up more than half my business. I want to give up 10% to get that $1 million. Can I do that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But what you're going after is you'd rather own 90% of a watermelon than 100% of a grape, right? I mean, you'd rather own a smaller chunk of a much bigger company. And giving up equity at that point maybe makes sense to get to those next
So if I give up the equity, though, I don't want to lose control. So can we do that?
Yeah, absolutely. You can do something with voting agreements, with shareholders agreements, in the bylaws, with the number of board seats.
Okay.
You can do something with your employment contract to make sure you can't be ousted. There's a lot of legal protections to make sure, and especially in that circumstance.
Anti-ouster provisions. Is
Yes.
that what they're called? Not formally. I think we should call them that. I like that.
We could
Anti-ouster.
we could trademark that. I don't know. But yeah, so if you've gotten to that point though where you've got a profitable business and you're just trying to really scale it, then you're going to look at money that you need to do that, but you're also going to looking how you can replicate yourself. So if why are the first 3 locations successful? If they're successful because you're on the ground driving from meeting to meeting, sales meeting, then how are you going to do that in the next 3 locations?
Okay.
So thinking through those kind of things, and if you decide that money is what you want to do, then you could actually maybe go to a bank and borrow. Maybe you could do an equity round. But yeah, there's certainly legal protections to keep your job intact.
Okay. So Roy, what are your thoughts about my expansion plans? What do I not know? I don't know what I don't know, but you're my lawyer. You're Dogville's lawyer.
Yeah. Well, so here's one thing is that, they say that we promote ourselves up to our level of incompetence, right?
Ooh, that's scary.
So the question is, you may be great at energizing and leading and forming a brand new company, but you may not know how to manage when things get out of hand.
Okay.
The $1 million number is actually a bit of a threshold. There are plenty of people that can manage $1 million, start, energize, and get up to $1 million in revenue or so, and then they don't have the skills to manage to scale the business.
Interesting.
So I want you to ask yourself, do you have what it takes, or are you one of these highly ADD type of energetic persons, which a whole lot of entrepreneurs are?
Between my vacuum Bitcoin company and my dog company, maybe.
Yes.
Because I'm trying to do 2 things at once.
And it's to create a successful company from the startup, stage, from the embryonic stage, and grow it. You are going to have your hands on every piece of the business. You're going to own every piece of the business and know all of it inside and out. Now, when you transition to scaling it, you're going to have to start delegating more responsibilities and, managing more. And so sometimes it is a very tough transition. And so, Roy and I do put in a lot of employee equity plans, employee profit sharing plans.
Is that to motivate?
Right. So, once you've got to kind of, leverage your experiences and your skills.
So you can replicate yourself with a kind of a stock incentive plan without giving away the whole enchilada.
Right. Absolutely.
Away part of the enchilada.
And
the meat, maybe, or the lettuce part.
Yeah. So, with the right employees, this can work, and with the wrong employees, it won't work. So it really is taking, the next step.
Okay. Well, how do I sell my business? My business, you guys helped me, and I was able to open up 6 locations, and I don't have a buyer, but I would like to sell it because I have now aged into I guess I'm in my dotage, and I'd like to just vacation a little bit.
Focus on the robot company.
Focus on the robot Bitcoin company. But so let's talk about that seriously, though, because that's a thing that a startup business wants to know. Hey, you're going to be there for me from startup and scaling to finish? But what is my exit plan? How do I sell it?
Right. Well, I'm a strong believer that you should have an exit plan when you start your business.
So is that maybe the first thing I need?
No, you don't. Not the first thing, but you should always be running and growing your business with the intention to sell it, even if you never sell it.
Okay.
Because the kinds of things that you have to do to make a business marketable and valuable in the marketplace are the same kinds of things you need to do to run a good, solid, sustainable business that can run without you. Because that is the key element of value in a company. It has to be able to run without you.
Yeah. So that's a nice, convenient parallel then, that those 2 things are the same. So do good business to have a good business.
Correct.
Kind of the watchword.
No, as Roy mentioned, the companies that get stuck at $1 million of revenue, the problem is they'll have one founder CEO who is
everything.
He's micromanaging everything.
And that's painful
And
for everybody.
It's painful for the people under him, but it's also painful for himself because there's no way he can step back. He's the guy that can't take vacations. He's the guy that's working
Can't get
around
out of
the
his own
clock.
way.
He's the guy that's having marital problems. He's the guy that really cannot step out of his own way and step back and let, other people rise up. And, he's going to be the guy that's going to be the hard time selling his business because any due diligence they're going to look at and say, well, who are your key contributors to your company? Well, it's just Bob. There's nobody else.
Damn Bob.
Yeah.
Damn him.
Well, and so, if we're going to sell his company, we need Bob to come with him. Right?
Yeah. So Bob's in a bad spot. Let me ask you guys this. Is there anything that you two, with the 14-year mentor-mentee relationship and all of your wisdom, that you disagree on fundamentally when it comes to business stuff? Or are you guys pretty simpatico? That's a
good question.
No, we're gonna disagree on almost everything. Actually,
okay.
On how to get there.
I was going to disagree on that. I was going to say we were going to agree on everything.
See, okay, so you disagree as to whether or not you agree.
We were talking earlier. Justin automatically knee-jerk went to, let's form an LLC. Well, I don't agree. I think we should have considered the corporation.
For the service disabled veteran.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's a more familiar concept. Everybody knows what a board of directors does, and what officers do.
It is easier to sell to the SBA if you're trying to get your certification.
Correct.
But now you're starting to agree with it. I'm just looking for the tension here, Justin. I want you to fight back and say, Roy, you've been my mentor, but now I am the master. It's like Luke and Yoda. Right. I don't know if you want to be Yoda, but...
so there's no cut and dry answers in any of this, and you have to look at each circumstance. But every circumstance requires a fresh look, and sometimes, if we had more facts to your pattern, maybe it would.
My facts are weak. Right. Well, so let me ask you that then. So what is the, kind of our wrap up, the craziest, funniest, weirdest business story that you guys have, whether it's startup, scaling, or exit, kind of what we'll call today the 3 stages of business life. I know you have some interesting ones, but between the two of you, and you'll probably disagree about which one it is, but what do you think? Pull something out of the air.
Oh, man.
Well, the employment realm, yields so many crazy stories with, what employees will do on their office computers.
Or what bosses will do to their employees.
Right.
So are these bosses your clients that you had to save from themselves?
Former.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, maybe we can talk a little bit about so you mentioned go into a business with an exit strategy. If you're going into business with a partner, you probably need to go into that business with a breakup strategy, because, the number one thing that happens to a lot of our business, or a lot of our clients, is falling outs with partners.
Yeah.
And it is so common that two guys, they can be best friends, they can vacation together, they can think that,
There's a story here though, right? This has happened
just generally. But
over and over again.
Yeah, I mean,
over and over again.
So best friends might not be best business partners. Some people are morning people, some people are afternoons, some people like to write everything down, other people just like to shoot from the hip and wheel and deal. And and when it gets personal, if your own money in the business and your own livelihood and your own expectations for the future, and and your partner starts golfing every day at 2 p.m., you can imagine that it creates a lot of friction and a lot of frustration.
Did that happen? But a good partnership really is, you want different people with different skill sets, because if you all have the same personality, it's not going to work.
And they need to be committed to like a common resolution path. If Roy and I were in business and we had different opinions on something and we brought different skills, but I'm arguing vehemently for something he's arguing vehemently against, then we should, as a good collaborative process, come together and understand why we're disagreeing and make a decision that both of us could be satisfied with.
At the core of it, what makes business partnership successful is shared values and mutual respect. It actually has nothing to do with technical skills or anything like that. If one partner values the family time with his family more, and the other one is determined to make as much money as possible, regardless of the price that is paid by her family, then that's going to be a problem. So shared values, mutual respect. And I can tell you from personal experience that if you have those, you can prosper together. But again, partners have to be different from each other. They have to have different skill sets. In your example, we had the service-disabled veteran who was good at business development. So he could bring in the orders. And the other fellow was a tech guy that was capable of executing on that. So that sounded like actually
a complementary good
start.
So just to summarize kind of what you guys have said today, I mean, it's the things that I've taken away are first that you've got to put the business horse before the business cart, and the business horse being your plan. You have to have some kind of, cogent, understandable goal and plan for your business, regardless of whether it's startup, scaling, or exit. And then the other thing I took away, I'm probably missing some things, so fill in. The other thing I took away is that if you're going into business with someone, that it's got to be based on mutual respect, and you have to complement each other. And that's more important than technical skill if you can do that in terms of longevity of the relationship, the business relationship. And do you guys have what other takeaways did I miss from our summary today?
Raising money is difficult.
Raising money is difficult.
Here's a new mantra.
Okay.
Keep the overhead low.
Keep the overhead low.
Repeat.
That's a common failing too.
Keep
all right.
the overhead low.
Now, the companies that get over leveraged and they borrow a lot of money and then they get deep in with investors, they're the ones that they're just going to have, a yoke over their neck, and it's going to be difficult to grow. But yes, bringing it all back to where we started with the service to disabled veteran-owned company is, you get the call at 2 a.m. They should do this themselves, but if not, we can facilitate it. But they need to come in and understand, what are they going to contribute to this business? Are they going to be present, 40 hours a week, 60 hours a week?
So that's my third
takeaway.
takeaway, Justin, is I think you guys have said this over and over again in not even a roundabout way, but communication. So you've got to be complementary and respect each other, but you have to communicate with your business partners, with your investors, with your lawyers, I assume. But you have to be a communicating business person.
I think communication, but underlying shared values, shared expectations. If the service disabled veteran thinks he's just going to golf all the time and let us use his status,
right,
that could be a problem. If the tech guy says, okay, well, I'm going to develop it for 6 months, but then I'm going to go off and do something else. If you come from approach the relationship with the same expectations and values and understanding, then, that's going to carry you through disputes, because there will be disputes between partners.
Right. Okay. Well, guys, thank you for coming today. I hope you had fun. I thought it was interesting. I enjoyed learning about this, and I think our listeners did too. Thank you for listening today. You can download us from iTunes or the Google Play Store, wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for joining us.
You should tell everybody that was not an opportunity to invest in Dogville.
That was, and I will, my lawyers are telling me to add to the end of this episode, a disclaimer is not an opportunity to invest in either Dogville or vacuum cleaner Bitcoin company.com. Thanks very much, guys. That's all for today's episode of BlackLetter. Thanks again for listening. Join us next time when we talk about more BlackLetter issues in creative ways. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and Google Play so you never miss an episode. And to catch us on video, check out our website at blackletterstudios.com.